Hello, everyone. Welcome to What's Happening in Your Neighborhood. And today I have Firefighter Anthony Ponte, and we'll be talking about fire safety. Anthony, welcome.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
you inviting me.
I'm glad that you came here. And before we started the show, did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Ponte, yes.
Ponte, yes.
Yep.
I know a lot of
Yes.
people probably have a lot of hard time saying it.
No problem.
I just want to make sure.
You're
I said it
fine.
right.
You did a great job.
So, let's just get off by saying to start off by oven fires. So what would you do in the case of an oven fire?
So whenever we have an oven fire or you have an oven fire, what we want you to do is we want you to turn off the oven. What's in the oven is going to stay in the oven because as we know, in order to have a fire, we need fuel, heat, and oxygen. So by leaving the door of the oven closed, we're going to starve that fire and whatever's inside, whether it be baked ziti, whether it be a turkey, it's going to absorb all that oxygen and the fire will go out. But anytime we open up that door, we're going to add oxygen back to what's in the oven, and it will flare up again.
Okay.
The best thing to do is leave that door closed on the oven. Make sure we turn it off and call 911.
Right.
And we'll come and we'll check it out for you to make sure it's safe. Okay. And if it's not burnt, we'll try it and let you know if it's good.
Yeah. Hopefully, well, I like a lot of my meat burnt anyway. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So now let's go back to the oven fire. Now, I know when you fight a regular fire, everybody sees you have a hose with water, so you're putting out a fire with a hose. So why don't you do that with an oven?
Well, sometimes there might be grease involved. Whether it be in the oven, you might have grease. You might have a stovetop fire, that's grease. Water and grease don't love each other. They don't get along.
Right.
So it will splatter all over the place, create injuries for you. So we recommend a dry chemical.
Okay.
So in a fire extinguisher, and it'll tell you what it's rated for, A, B, C, D. But you want an ABC extinguisher. That's going to be a dry chemical that you can use on any type of fire.
Right, okay, sounds good. And you never obviously want to even take a towel and cloth and start putting out wet towels. I've seen people do that. Is that okay to do too? Or?
Well, yes and no, because that'll just, that towel, that blanket, whatever you use, may also pick up the heat, especially if you don't turn it off properly.
Okay.
But you may see on TV these fire blankets.
Okay.
But those are rated and are made to put out fires and smother fires.
Right.
Because of the material that it's made out of, non-flammable material, as opposed to your normal towel, jacket that's not non-flammable.
Right, right. And how close is the fire blanket to an actual extinguisher? I mean, they work pretty similar to...
They work pretty well. We're actually going to do a demonstration right after the holidays. I just ordered a couple of those fire blankets.
Oh, nice.
It says 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
So on our website, we will be doing a demonstration with those fire blankets that you see on TV or online.
All right. Well, you have to keep me in touch. I keep my
I will.
audience in touch.
Maybe we'll invite you down to come film it.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we could probably do that. All right, and so I just want to remind everyone, last month was Fire Safety Month, but I'm having this episode now only because it's the holidays, it's Thanksgiving's coming up, Christmas time, fire safety, fire safety goes hand in hand almost on a daily basis, but, it's always during the winter time and holidays is where you see a lot of fires happening.
Yes.
So, speaking about fire, so what would you recommend for the residents to have in their house for as far as smoke alarms and even carbon monoxide detectors and stuff?
So as far as smoke alarm, smoke detection, we recommend that you have them outside the bedroom areas, top and bottom of stairways. If you can, inside the bedroom areas. Our 3 tenements are mandated to have interconnected smoke alarms in the front and rear hallways, basement. But those are inspected every 2 years by our building department. Okay. All our 3 tenements in our city. We want to make sure that you're safe. They usually have a 10-year span, so we recommend at 10 years. We want you to change those smoke alarms. Okay. So, one of NFPA's messages a couple years ago was, don't hesitate, check the date. Right. Because a lot of the smoke alarms that we noticed at our fires were over 10 years old, and they weren't working. But we always want to make sure that they're working. We want everybody to test their smoke alarms once a month. We want everybody to change the batteries once or twice a year. And a good way to remember that is, for example, my birthday is November 15th.
Okay.
We want to, every 15th day of the month, I check my smoke alarm.
Okay.
Anytime we change the clocks, when we gain or
Right.
lose an hour of sleep, I change the batteries.
Oh,
so
nice.
that helps me to remember
Right, yeah,
when
yeah.
to do that, to make sure that they're always working. So that way we'll be safer, and that'll get us out of the house in time before the fire gets to
Right.
possibly to where we are
Right.
in our bedrooms.
Okay. And so for the placement of them too, is there like certain feet from the doorways or bedrooms that should be as well too?
So we do recommend on the ceiling. Okay, there really is no restriction in our state how far it has to be from a door.
Right.
There are some agencies that are a little bit more stringent than ours,
Right.
where they require it to be more than 3 feet from a main entry door, whether it be the front or the back.
Okay.
But we just require that you have
That
them.
you have them.
We recommend that they're not near air vents, because if there's an air vent operating, now it might blow that smoke away from the smoke alarm and it'll never get to
It'll
it.
never get to it,
So we
yeah.
recommend at least 3 feet from any type of air ventilation.
Right, right. And the carbon monoxide, is that the same way for that? Should that always be on top, or is that usually at the bottom of?
So carbon monoxide, we recommend if you're going to buy a new smoke alarm, get the combination one.
Okay.
Because they'll work hand in hand
work,
together.
right.
But carbon monoxide is a gas that is similar to weight as gravity. So it's kind of going to hover around. So as we walk through it, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. So it doesn't matter if it's plugged in low,
Okay.
or if it's on the ceiling,
right.
or plugged in to the middle of the wall.
Right.
It's just a gas that hovers and moves around as we move around. It's very similar to gravity, as opposed to gasoline fumes, which are heavy and sit low to the ground.
Okay, yeah. Because I have seen them plugged at the bottom, so
Yes.
which I thought was kind of a little weird because I'm so used to them being at a
Right.
higher level.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to have one on each level of living space. So if we go into a house and there's like a kitchen, a living room, a dining room,
Right.
that's carbon monoxide detector can be anywhere.
Okay.
But now if you introduce a bedroom onto that first floor, that carbon monoxide detector can be no more than 10 feet from that bedroom door.
Right.
If we go upstairs and we have a small area where maybe there's 4 bedrooms up there, but they're all within 10 feet of each other, you need one. If you have a long hallway that's maybe 15 feet, now you're going to need two
two.
carbon monoxide
Right,
detectors.
right.
Correct.
And say if you have an attic, do you need one? Is it necessary to have one in an attic?
If you're
or is it
burning
useless?
fossil fuels up there, it's up to you. But the more I'll never tell anyone not to do it.
Right.
If you have one up there, you never know. But it's always, I'll never tell anyone not to put one somewhere.
Right. Okay. Good. Good. So and the other thing is heating units in the house as well too.
Yes.
I know a lot of fire stuff from heating units, and in fact, I think we had a couple happen. I don't know if it was here in the city or out of town. I don't remember where I saw it at. But anyways, what's your recommendation for heating units? They should be cleaned how often? Or
So as far as heating units, just keep one thing in mind before we get into that is a lot of people, because of whether it be financial issues, they will use the oven as a heating source. We want
Right.
you to know that that's not a heating source, it's a cooking source, because that will create a lot of carbon monoxide.
Okay.
So we don't want you to use your oven
Right.
as a heating source.
Right.
Now, to your question, we have a lot of space heaters in our community, second floor, third floor. Those are heating sources only. They're not used for drying clothes. We have been to a
Right.
couple of fires back in September where somebody was using the space heater to
Okay.
dry their clothes, dry the
right there,
clothes.
right,
So
okay.
obviously I can't give addresses and things like
Yeah.
that, but they're meant for heating, not for drying clothes. We also recommend that you have 3 feet around that space heater, or boilers in the basement, or heaters in the basement. Keep an area 3 feet around, because we just want to pile stuff in there, we run out of
Right.
room, let's put it over there. But you want to try to keep 3 feet of space around the heaters, the boilers, the space heaters in our living rooms.
Okay, yeah, it's good to know. So, and I talk about space heaters. I know people you talk about you want to clear it stuff. Back in the day, I know people used to put pots of water on top of
Right,
it. Is that okay to still
That
do?
that part of hot water, that's just for humidity.
Humidity.
Yeah, it'll just go into the air. So
Into the air,
that's
right.
a metal, something that's metal. That's not a problem. We do see that a lot
You
as
see that a
well.
lot still. Yeah, yeah. So never keep any combustibles next to any
No,
space
no
heaters.
combustibles
That's for sure.
near there,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Don't decorate it. We've seen some that are decorated.
really, yeah?
Yeah, well, I just saw one the other day, had a turkey on each side.
Oh, wow.
And we just said, well, you really shouldn't have that there. Oh yeah, you know what, you're right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that they ended up taking them down.
Take it down.
But yeah, so they're even used for decorating. The space heaters, they're being decorated as
Right.
well. But we want to try to, help people to understand the flammable issue and what could happen.
Right, exactly. It's going with heating units. So that'd be the same thing with oil burners too, right?
Right. So oil burners, we recommend, and they should be checked yearly, cleaned by a
Okay.
professional, because they'll clean everything out. They'll take it apart. Because I watched one actually about 5 or 6 months ago. I watched one actually done, and there's a lot that goes into it. They change all the little nozzles inside.
Right.
They
Okay.
clean it out, and so it's like totally clean. Have somebody check your chimney. Obviously, we can't promote businesses, but there
Right.
are some in our area. They'll come and check your chimney. They'll go up to the roof. They'll look down. They got the microscope, the periscope,
Okay, they
and
do
they'll
all
check
that.
it out and make sure it's clean. Because a lot of times we go and nobody ever gets it cleaned because you don't think about it because you don't see it.
Right.
So if you don't see it, out of sight, out of mind,
mind.
and we just now the flue is blocked where the air goes. The flue is blocked. Now all that carbon monoxide sits, and now it creates heat and build up, and now we have a chimney fire.
Right. It's funny that you say that because maybe about a month ago, 2 months ago, I was walking in my yard on the side of it. So where you have the dryer, you have the vents that go through the basement
Yes,
windows.
correct.
And then I actually noticed how much clutter was actually coming
A
up
lot
from
of lint,
those,
yes.
The lint.
Right.
So that's another thing that needs to be cleaned because that will also cause a fire.
Right.
Exactly, right.
So the dryers, our dryers, they have the lint traps. Those have to be cleaned. And during the COVID virus, we had an uptick in dryer fires because we had a lot of students that were staying home, and
Right, okay.
mom and dad or the adult taking care of them was at work, and it was
Right.
easy to make that phone call. Hey, move the clothes, or can you wash the clothes? And they
Yeah.
did some cooking on their own, and they just didn't know about the lint trap.
Right.
So it's very important we clean the lint trap, and if it's hosed, you want to make sure it's vented properly in your home. If it goes outside, that lint trap is very important to clean because if it does get blocked, it just builds up, and then we have other issues, and we could have a dryer fire.
And is that easy for anybody just to clean, or do you recommend calling someone? to
If it's
service
your
that?
own home, that's something that you could clean. Obviously, if you're an older adult, you may want, I don't recommend you getting on a ladder. If you have a family member, if it's up high, have them do it.
Right.
And it's just a matter of, taking off the cage, cleaning it out, and then just putting it back.
Right.
But it all depends on how high it is
Right.
and where it is in proximity to what that person is capable of doing.
Okay. So, and then, going back to the dryer and the vents, how you have, you have the hose from the window out to the dryer itself.
Yes.
Should that be also disconnected and washed out or anything like that?
What you could do is that could be disconnected, and if you get that vacuum with the long neck,
Okay, right.
you could put that in there.
Okay.
Just go around in a circle, clean that out a little
Yes,
bit,
yes.
and then reconnect
Right.
it.
Nice. Good. Good. Yeah.
And
Like I
they do
said-
recommend now is that metal pipe.
Oh.
So the metal pipe, and then it goes right outside.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But that's all plumbing code and things like that.
Yeah.
They're the experts.
The experts. So open fires and fire pits. Here in the city of New Bedford, obviously, so open fires is against the law.
So
There's-
it's not so much against the
Right.
law; it's against our city
Oh,
ordinance.
ordinance.
So we are not allowed to open burn in our city. The way we find out about it is if you have the smoke going and you're not really being a good neighbor, and that smoke is going into somebody's window, or you're burning something illegally like furniture and things like that aren't supposed to be burned.
Right,
Now,
trash.
trash. So now we're going to get a call from a resident, and that's when we go.
Right.
Now we have, during COVID, we were a little bit lenient because people had really hardly anywhere to go. So if people were cooking outside, that was like, okay, it's not out of hand. They had the hose out there. It was just a small little fire pit, maybe about 2 or 3 feet in diameter. So when they were being responsible, we really
Right.
were a little bit lenient
Right.
during COVID times when people
Yeah.
really had not much to do.
Right. So, and then, like I said, it does amaze me because a lot of people don't really understand, or they don't really think that it is against the law because they're being sold in stores on the
Correct,
on a daily basis.
right.
So you think, okay, it's in the store, well, it's got to be legal. It's got to be okay to have.
Because they'll say, Well, I have flame when I have my barbecue grill, or well, yes, because you're cooking,
Right. Yeah. So
and that's all I'm going to say there. Because I don't want to open up the
you
pit
open up
doors.
the pit
Yeah,
doors.
right.
Yeah,
Yes.
right, exactly. Right. All right. And I think we have a little mic trouble.
Oop.
Sorry about that, folks. Guess this mic don't want to stay
It wasn't
on.
his fault. It was my fault. I think I may have stepped on it. It's not your fault, Mr. Pemberton. He's a good man.
All right. So we're just talking about open fires. Again, I just want to remind everybody we're talking about fire safety. We have Anthony Ponte from the New Bedford Fire Department. Lithium batteries. We see a lot of things happening now with lithium batteries now.
Yes.
So what's the best way to take care of? Well, if there was have a fire.
Right. So in regards to lithium batteries, on our fire department we have a hazmat technician, Travis Rebello. He is the most knowledgeable person that I know in regards to things like this. For what I have learned from him, basically is, if you have a charger that comes with what you bought, use that charger. Because what happens is we try to buy other chargers that are compatible with what we have, but not meant for what we have. So we want to make sure we use the proper chargers. Call the company; they'll send you another one. Okay. We want to make sure that when they are charging, that they're not in bed with you under the pillow, because that creates heat.
Okay.
And once these lithium batteries get hot, they get into what is called thermal runaway. So they're on fire, and once they're on fire, there's no stopping it.
Okay.
There are videos out there about that, but basically using the charger that is meant for your device will help a lot.
Right.
People who have scooters, we have a lot of scooters in our community. What they sell is they'll sell a component online. Make your scooter 13 or 15 or 20 miles an hour faster if you put this component in. Well, that was not meant to be in there. So now when you're charging it, we have thermal runaway of lithium batteries.
Okay.
And it sounds like gunshots when they go off.
Oh,
Pow,
wow.
pow, pow, pow.
Wow.
And there are videos. In the state of New York, there is a lithium battery fire every day.
Really?
We were in a class. I was in a class this past September. We go for fire safety class, and we had a guest speaker. And every single day in the city of New York, there is a fire related to lithium batteries. And with the rail coming, more scooters are coming, more of these electronic bikes.
Right.
A lot of these things will be coming into our area, so we really want to try to get ahead of the lithium battery crisis.
Right. You know, and speaking about that, even now we got probably in the future now we'll talk about electric cars.
Yes.
So are you already prepared to for?
Yes. So the chief, working with our union, Local 841, they're providing training. They're working together. We're all on the same page about training and being safe. So we're getting trained on these electrical cars, where that orange line is. Don't cut that orange line. You have to have special gloves, and it's basically lineman gloves, not like football linemen, but the electronic, the linesmen, the electric people. They have these gloves that are good for so many volts. Those are the gloves that we need to have if we're going to do that.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes they're in the door panel. Sometimes they run through the middle of the car. It all depends on the make of the car.
Right.
But we've been stay away from orange lines.
Okay. Wow. Good to know.
We're in the process of getting classes on our buses in our city that are all electric.
They're electric now,
Once again, Travis, our hazmat technician, he's going to be getting us some training. Hopefully, maybe right after the holidays, because everybody's busy right now. But even though safety never sleeps, and that's what I say.
Right.
But we want to make sure that we get trained on those buses, because if we don't want to roll up to a bus fire and just let it burn. We don't want to do that.
Right, exactly.
We want to have some means of being able to put it out. But obviously, we might not be able to use water. Do we call a crash truck that has a lot of foam? So we have to have a plan in place if we do have a bus fire in our community.
So now speaking about the crash truck, I know we have one that's located at the airport.
Yes.
For airplanes.
Yes.
Will you be able to use that?
Yes, yeah, that's part of.
So that's part
we
of.
have a lot of tools in the toolbox. Whether it be the crash truck. If we need lighting from emergency management, we have all kinds of tools that we can use and utilize to put fires out.
Good. It's good to know. See, so the other thing, surge protectors.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of things about surge protectors that you need certain ones to to operate for your phones or your other household appliances. Some that you shouldn't plug in at all.
Right.
So what's the difference if I went out to Ocean State Job, bought a surge protector from there or Home Depot? And
Yeah.
I mean,
There really is no difference because what you need to look for is if it's Underwriter Laboratories, that sticker that's on it. Underwriter Laboratories does tests. If they approve a product, their sticker is on that product, and that's what you want to look for is the Underwriter Laboratories sticker and proof of approval.
Right.
If it's approved by them, it's good.
It's a good one. Right.
We did recently, one of our recent fires was because of an overloaded strip. That was not surge protected. And so there was a refrigerator plugged in, there was the stove plugged in, a phone, and then they ran another strip off that.
Oh.
And we're plugging computers. So we don't want to overload circuits. If it's meant for one, it's one.
Right.
So we don't want to overload circuits.
Right. So and just let the audience know, so there is obviously a difference between electrical to a strip and to a surge protector itself.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
so the surge protector, if it senses, and it's got that little button on it, it's got like it lights up.
Right.
And if it senses it's being, hey, I'm being overused, you're overworking me, I'm not working anymore, and it shuts itself off.
Right.
Those are the ones that will best protect you,
Right.
Because it will sense that surge.
Right.
That's the name surge protector, and it will shut itself off before
Right.
the fire happens.
Right. Good. Good.
And with extension cords, make sure they're not under rugs or under anything because then they'll end up getting dry, brittle. Somebody walks on it, we have a spark, now we have a fire.
Right.
So make sure our extension cords are running on top of rugs and along the floor.
Right. And going along with that, how many extension cords should you run off each extension cord?
Zero. Zero.
Right.
Zero. Just one.
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 Right. Yeah.
Correct.
Sometimes you see
Right.
extension cord, then you see another
Another
extension cord
extension
plugged
cord.
in.
Right.
Another.
Well, it
you know.
depends on how long. So if it's one extension cord, but make sure it's the same amount of amperage that it takes. So if
Right.
you're trying to run something that's say requires 200 amps, you don't want something that only can hold 10 amps or something like that. You want something that's compatible with what the extension cord goes to.
Okay. Sounds good. And then, so Thanksgiving's coming up.
Yes.
We know what happened 4 years ago.
Yes, 2020 was the
Right.
Thanksgiving. We lost 3 houses.
3 houses.
A lot of people displaced. I was at that fire.
That was a bad year.
Yes.
And that was, I mean, I've seen some fires, but that one was,
Right.
it was devastating. So to prevent that from happening, we probably shouldn't be
Right.
using
The fire. So
fires anyways.
So right.
I
So
mean-
Thanksgiving, most of the cooking fires happen on Thanksgiving. We had that fire, like you said, in 2020. That was basically someone using, a turkey fryer. It started to rain, so they brought it inside. And then when they put the turkey in that was not unfrozen, because that turkey has to be unfrozen, it can't be frozen. Right. That turkey was dropped in, and it became, I don't want to say a bomb, but it kind of just went up and it just exploded.
Right. So almost like a bomb.
Well, yes.
Basically almost
right.
like a bomb.
So it was a turkey bomb. So we basically make sure that when you're using these things, it has to be outside. We recommend, or I recommend, I should say, be 15, 20 feet away from the house. If it's windy that day, be further away, especially if you're using barbecue grills and fryers, because
Right.
you never know. And it's only respectful to if you're in a 2-tenement or a 3-tenement or a 4-tenement, 6-family, or if you're at Harborview East or West or
Right.
any type of high rise. You're only taking care of the people that you're living with because you are a family in those units.
Exactly. And going with the turkey fry again, is there a certain procedure that obviously you just don't want to put it in, right? I mean, do you want to just kind of
Right.
slowly?
Yeah, make sure it's right. So make sure it's thawed,
Yeah,
and then
completely
now the
thawed,
grease has to
right?
get to a certain temperature, and then you just put it in. You don't have to, But just generally put it in, and,
Right.
and you're all set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Good. So you go around to the schools. You do a lot of fire safety programs in the
Yes,
schools,
I
right?
love. Yes, I
Yeah,
love teaching to
doing
the
that.
students. We were actually at Abraham Lincoln School this morning with
Nice.
all of our kindergarten students. We did stop, drop, and roll, egress plans. And speaking of egress plans, if you're traveling and you're staying at a relative's house, know what their evacuation plan is. Where is their meeting place? And a meeting place is basically somewhere when there's an emergency in the house and the alarms are going off.
Right.
Everybody's going to go to somewhere in
Right.
front of the house.
Right.
It could be a rock, a mailbox, or a tree. In front of my house, it's a fire hydrant. That's where my family meets.
Right.
When I'm with my family of firefighters, we meet at the flagpole because in front of the new station, the Public South Fire
Yeah,
Safety
yeah,
Building. That's where we would meet, is at the flagpole. So if you stay at different places, know what
Right.
the family emergency plan
Right.
is.
Yeah. And that's something that everybody should do.
Yes.
Always make sure you have that. I mean, because it's nothing terrible. You go to a scene and it's like, oh no, little Johnny is
Right, correct.
is missing, and
Right.
and
Yeah, but if everybody gets there, and always have two ways out, no matter where you are at home, have two ways out. Places of worship, restaurants, you go to Target or Target, whatever you want to call that. Movie theaters, always know two ways out because everybody knows the way in.
Right.
But what's that other way out?
What's the other way out?
And unfortunately, that's what happened at the Station nightclub fire.
Okay,
and
right.
all these regulations and
Right.
new rules came about and
Right.
awareness. And unfortunately, it takes a tragedy to relook at those
Right.
things and make them better.
Yeah. So, all right, folks. This is I'm Scott Pemberton. We have Firefighter Anthony Ponte. We're talking about fire safety. Again, we know that Christmas and Thanksgiving is coming up. So, these are all these tips that can help you stay safe. And if there's anything that they ever, if somebody's unaware of or they need maybe something to get checked out, they can always call fire prevention, right?
Yes, just call fire prevention.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they'll direct you either to me or to someone who can answer your question.
Right.
And if I don't have an answer to something, I'm going to find out what it is because I'm not an expert. But if I have the answer, I'll tell you. If I don't, I'll let you know. Give me 24 hours and I'll get the answer for you. And as you mentioned Christmas, if our community, if you're going to have real Christmas trees, and obviously we're going to put lights on them, make sure that they have water. Check them every day for water. It's very, very important that they have water. And also candle safety is something else that's very important. We want to make sure that we don't have candles near windows because there's curtains, draperies, shears, things that if you have a drafty window,
Right.
now we're going to have a candle fire.
Yeah.
Because all of our big fires come from small fires.
Okay,
So we
yeah.
want to try to prevent those. So just keep them away from windows.
Right.
Get electronic ones, get battery-operated lights, candles.
Now, real quick, I know you said check the water in the Christmas tree. Is it also a good idea to spray it down? Or is that doesn't
There's no need to spray it, no, because we got those electric lights.
Right, okay.
Water and electricity don't love each other.
So that's right. So you don't.
So we want it. All that tree needs is to drink, and it'll be all set. So when you get that new tree, they're going to ask you if you want to cut. Yes, we want to cut.
Right.
Because now that's brand new bottom, and make sure you give it water it, check it every day. Sometimes let Johnny or Susie check. Is there water in there? And then you check it as well. Make sure there's water in that basin that it's sitting in.
All right, folks, sounds good. We're out of time. Again, this was Scott Pemberton. We have Anthony Ponte. This is what's happening in your neighborhood. See you in the next episode.